Hey guys, welcome to another episode of our Gridiron Football Player of the Week show. This is week 13, a quarterfinal edition of the Player of the Weekend. And outside his elements today, we have Alex
Literally.
Allison, literally just out there by the interstate, really. Just out in the open. I feel like I feel like we're at a TV station. You're about to give us a weather report, Alex.
And here we have a light drizzle. And
Uh,
today we have some there might be some cloudy skies. No,
uh,
yes, I am here, of course. Happy to be here as always, Jace.
Absolutely, Alex. We can go right into it. We're running out of these. I mean, last week was a special situation. I appreciate you filling in. Did a great job hosting the show. I know there was a little bit of a wrinkle. We actually had two players of the week that we announced last week, so that was very unique. But yeah, we will have a couple more of these really to give out. So we only got this week and next week, and this week, well, three more opportunities really. So you got to win one of these things. And if anybody was wondering about okay when they're getting the Lerman jacket patches, we're going to be working on that starting about a week or two from now. As far as starting to send everybody's Lerman jacket patches from the year, but we have them. I actually have them right in front of me. But we'll go and so we'll definitely go around and pass them out and mail them out if they're outside our area as well. All right, Alex, let's go into it. I know people have been waiting for it. Our Gridiron Football Player of the Weeks this week. When you get deeper and deeper in the playoffs, you only have so many nominees that you really have. And we only had about maybe 15 overall, 15
Mm-hmm.
nominees. So we narrowed it down to 10, basically. And it's going to be these 10. We're pretty well represented. We have representatives from Louisiana, Texas, well, let's see, but we
Florida, I
also
think.
have Florida. Yep. So we have some pretty good representation around the South. So let's go right into it. Starting off at number 10, since Alex is out there in the opens, kind of dealing with some stuff right now.
Yeah.
I'll go over everything. At number 10, we have Hudson Hendricks with 2 votes. Hudson was a really good player down there in Bourne High School in Texas. Kind of does a little bit of everything for him. He's that rock, right? He's that centerpiece for Bourne High School. Running back, tight end, linebacker. Yeah, I mean he's basically the thumper for him. I mean he sets the tone with a physicality standpoint. How about that? When you get close to the goal line, man, just give him the football. 13 carries, 93 yards, and 4 touchdowns on offense. You go back and look on the defensive side of the football. He had 12 tackles, 1 TFL, and also a block punt. So not a bad outing in a 59-15 playoff win over Victoria West. So congratulations to Bourne High School in getting the win. And a lot of it had to do with a performance like that, Alex. What are your thoughts? 4 touchdowns and having that type of performance, 12 tackles on defense.
Yeah, we he has like I think we're going to see a lot this week. I've been talking about it the last few weeks that I would think the quantity would go down or like the volume of some of these performances would go down, but it'd be a lot more about the context and the opponents that would be making these, Gridiron Football Player of the Week finalist, performances. This is not one of those. We'll get to some of those later, but this is an awesome performance. Only 93 yards rushing, but anytime you have 4 touchdowns and a blocked punt and you're playing 100% of the snaps, that is an amazing performance. That's always going to be deserving of being on here, and it kind of harkens back to what we've been seeing a lot throughout the season of people just dominating an entire game. And when you're doing that this deep into the playoffs, that really does say something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you do that, both sides. I mean, you're willing to give up your body really for both sides of football. Not only have 4 touchdowns, 12 tackles, but also a block punt. I see when there was
All
other,
three phases.
yeah, all 3 phases of the game. He impacted the football game, and that's why you're on this list to begin with. But it's based all voting, so fans they go and vote, and this is what there's no specific ranking for us. We put them in there, but it's up
Right.
to fans to vote. Now let's go to our number 9 candidate this week. Actually, if you're on this list, you've had to been nominated by your coach, nominated by a fan, or we just see them with our own 2 eyes. And that's what I saw here with this number 9 candidate, Brandon Huglon. I call Episcopal games for Varsity Sports Now, made the travel up to Shreveport against Calvary Baptist. Braylon plays, he's actually one of 2 players we're going to talk about from Calvary Baptist. And yeah, he made a difference. I mean, they have a lot of great athletes on that football team. Braylon Huglon, He was the one that really took over this football game against the Episcopal in a 52-10 win over the Knights. Braylon had 6 catches for 237 yards and 3 touchdowns. It seemed like they would just throw a swing pass to him and just good luck trying to catch him up. I mean, you have a Texas commit, an Ole Miss commit. It goes on and on and on. Actually, signee. They just signed Texas signee, Ole Miss signee. But the best player that night was a sophomore. So it shows you how loaded this team is. And Brown Hugon comes in and makes his first appearance, hopefully in many. He's only a sophomore. So maybe we'll see him playing more of him the next couple of years. But he really stood out, had a bigger performance as he comes in at number 9 this week.
Yeah, I mean, Calvary Baptist has an embarrassment of riches out there, and there's a reason why I think a lot of people see them as the favorites to win that state championship game in their bracket, in what is a very fun bracket that we'll be talking about another one of those games in the quarterfinals later today as well. But this is, when you have all of the talent they have at running back and quarterback and on the lines and just everywhere, and you don't even have to scheme a whole lot because you just got this random sophomore nobody had heard of before this year, and throwing swing passes to him, and Jace was at the game, right? So it was just, he was better. You just can't tackle him. I've been to games like that before where a guy just takes over, and it just feels unfair at times with Calvary Baptist, and this is a really, really good team. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to everyone out there. It's not the last time we'll be talking about this game.
No, and I think he would have scored all 3 touchdowns if it was 2-hand touch or flag football. They couldn't. I mean, and sometimes they're in perfect position. He just outran them. I mean, there's nothing you can really do about that. And there's a reason why Texas Tech and Ole Miss have already offered this kid as a sophomore. So
as a sophomore,
so just watch out once he reaches becoming a senior. Speaking of really good seniors, we're going to go to number 8, and you can pretty much tell what's coming now. It's because it's this guy we talked about pretty much all year long. We might rename the list and say, hey, the Jonathan D'Artes list plus others each and every week because he's on this list each and every week. He hasn't won it yet, but he's been consistently in it every single week, and that's at number 8 is Jonathan D'Artes from Vermilion Catholic. Andy Bryson, the ball CEO at Gridiron Football, saw him in person, and right now we're trying to figure out a spot for him to play in the Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game. But it's crazy that this is one of his subpar air quote performances, right? When he completed 5 of 7 passes for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he does his damage as a runner. 22 carries, 178 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Add that all together, that's 309 total yards and 6 touchdowns. And we talk about a St. Edmund football team. We nominated their whole offensive line the week before when they put up 78 points, and we thought that was shocking. Well, Vermilion Catholic beat that team by 40 points, 60-20. So this Vermilion Catholic team is rolling, and a lot of it has to do with Jonathan D'Artes, Johnny Football, and they call him down there.
Football.
And he plays
John Football.
John Football.
The Vermilion Catholic story this season has been one of my favorites. John, I kind of became aware of him earlier this season when the first time he was nominated back in like week 3 or 4 or whatever, and he dropped. And then a couple of weeks later, he drops like 600 yards on Riverside at a game that Daryl was at. We talked a lot about that game, and ever since then, it just feels like he's on this show every week, seemingly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it doesn't he puts up a performance that he probably comes out of it like, actually, I was a little bit unsatisfied with how I played. And it's 300 yards and 6 touchdowns, just casually scoring 6 touchdowns. And another chapter of this, Andy finally got a chance to see him against St. Edmund, a team we've talked a lot about throughout this season in that 1A bracket, and he just smashed him. There's not really much else to say. One look at him and you're like, yeah, we got to find a place for him in the bowl game because he's just that good. That 1A select bracket is superheroes in shoulder pads, and he is the quintessential one. And we might be getting, and we'll talk about this more later with another Player of the Week candidate, we might be getting a really special Superdome game if the cards fall a certain way. We'll talk about that later, though.
That is true. Good point there. Another player that has a chance to be back in the dome. Speaking of the dome, is our number 6 candidate, and that's the guy I've grew accustomed to throwing the ball a lot last week for high volume of yards and touchdowns. It's Abram Wardell against Episcopal as well. He was you can't have those 3 touchdown catches from Braylon Huglon. It was for the guy throwing him that ball, and that's Abram Wardell. He comes in this week as well as our number 6 spot. So Abram Wardell, what can you say about him? This is pretty much a typical Abram Wardell stat throughout his career. 15 for 18, 415 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a 52-10 win over the Knights. And the thing about this guy, as productive as he is, as sure of himself he is, he's throwing the football all over the place. He's accurate. He's confident. He does not turn the ball over at all. I mean, the last 2 years, he's thrown 5 interceptions combined. Only 3 this year, 2 last year. Does a great job protecting the football. He's a great quarterback. And if everybody's saying, man, if he was only a little bit taller, he's only about maybe 5'11", 6 foot. If he was only a little bit taller, he'll be getting a lot of offers. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the state of Louisiana. Was the state champion last year. Is the one running this high-powered Calvary Baptist offense, and he has a really good shot. Join Shea Patterson. Remember Shea Patterson played for Michigan, played for Ole Miss. Well, he could join him as quarterbacks for Calvary Baptist that have won back-to-back state championships.
This is, we talked about Braylon Huglon earlier. This is the guy throwing him the ball. There's a lot here. First off, whoever does sign him is going to be making a really good decision, because we've seen, I think, in these last few years, sure, height matters at the college level, especially at the higher college level, but someone, whether it's FCS or D2 or whatever, someone's going to be making a really good decision to sign him, because that is a great football player, and he's going to do a lot of great things at the next level. To the game itself, I think when you hear a performance like that, 400 yards on only 18 attempts, which is absolutely ridiculous. That is over 20 yards an attempt, well over 20 yards an attempt, with 5 touchdowns, right?
Yep.
And he just doesn't turn the ball over. That's unbelievable. The efficiency is ridiculous. You're thinking, oh, he did this to like a not a very good program, right? No. Episcopal, state quarterfinal team, held Elijah Haven to like 18 points.
Yep.
Was really, really good this year in their district.
LSU to 14.
LSU to 14. Yep. Some like really good football team Jace is very familiar with. Quarterfinals for a reason. If they were playing any other team in this bracket, they probably would have had a pretty good chance of making it a really good game. Unfortunately, they were playing Calvary Baptist, and he made them look like peons, basically. And that entire team made them look like peons.
Yeah.
So it is both a strength of opponent and quarterfinal, all the stakes, as well as just an unbelievable performance. So congratulations to Mardell and everyone over there at Calvary Baptist. That is a buzzsaw in Division III Select.
Yeah, ain't lying. After seeing them in person, they got some good teams in Division III Select. I just don't know who can beat these guys after watching them play, especially when they're on. Let's go into our top half, Alex. We finished we're halfway through. We're going to our number 5 player. And a lot of these players with performances like these, there's a reason why they're still playing football. Is because they had those performances. And that is Ron Patterson from Bunkie High School. Remember, Kane Milligan was a Gridiron Football Player of the Week last week. And we talk about the big names, right? We talk about Dylan Compton. We talk about Kyle Johnson, right? Zion Lee. But these other guys, the supporting cast, is really stepping up and having big games. When we talk about Kane Milligan, now we're talking about Ron Patterson. You're at this game, Alex. You get a chance to talk about Ron's performance. But here he has 4 catches for 62 yards on offense. Pretty solid on offense. Not player of the week worthy offensively, but defensively, that's when he comes in terms of player of the week type of performance. He had 11 tackles, 1 TFL, and here's the kicker. He had an interception return for a touchdown. Why is this important? the game or the final score was 14-12. So this pick six was vital for Bunky to make the semifinals. Alex, you covered this game. You were there. You saw Ron's performance and talk about how crucial, that performance was
Yeah.
because that was the difference in the football game.
This is the quintessential. Maybe the stat line doesn't sound that insane, but it's the game, it's the play, it's the context.
Mm-hmm.
Especially given the fact that this sent Bunky to the semifinals for the first time in 36 years. Not just the game, not just the win, but this play. It's all about the pick six. Now, the rest of the performance was good. He had tackles. He was playing well on defense. He had some catches. And the catches matter. This was, the volume sounds really low, but there's some important context here. Bunky held the ball twice in the entire second half.
Mm-hmm.
They were shut out in the first half. That is, like, the volume was ludicrously low because Jules Sumner got the exact game they wanted. They wanted a slow, very a very quick game, but like slow pace of play where you're just not going to touch the ball many times. So the volume was really low. So 4 catches for 62 yards actually constituted a large share of the offensive production for Bunky in that game because it was a very claustrophobic game. Mm-hmm. But it's all about the pick six, of course, and it was game changing. So Bunky was up 8-6. Jules Sumner driving down the field with 6 minutes left. And Ron Patterson has an 89-yard pick six to completely change the game. Jules Sumner drives out and scores again.
Yeah.
And then they end up coming up short in the 2-point conversion. But Jules Sumner almost certainly wins that game if the pick six doesn't happen. Bunky had their backs against the wall and one of their biggest playmakers. Not the first name you think of when you think of Bunky. You think of the high-flying offense with Compton and Johnson, and they beat Gina 41-0 and all that stuff. Yeah. No, Ron Patterson made the difference here. So deserving. I was at it. It was an electric play. And they're one of these teams. So they're playing Dunham this week.
Yeah.
And they have a chance to go to the Dome for, I believe, the first time ever. If Calvary Baptist is, in my opinion, the favorite to win that state championship. But Bunky's not gonna go down lightly. None of these teams will. This is a great team, and they just find ways to win. And that way this week was Ron Patterson.
Absolutely. You talk about finding ways to win. Both these teams have, Dunham and Bunky. They're both undefeated for a reason, but someone's got to give when they play on Friday. Now let's go to a name we are very familiar with. He was actually a Gridiron Football Player of the Year finalist last year as a junior. He's committed to playing a Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game. That, my friends, is a pretty good running back over there in Donaldsonville at Ascension Catholic. That is Mr. Chad Elsey coming in at number 4. This is when we start talking about the votes coming in. So 132 votes coming in for Chad Elsey. And Mr. Elsey, what can you say? 357 yards of offense and 6 touchdowns against Riverside Academy. I know Alex said it was going to be a low-scoring game. I think Ascension Catholic heard of that. I was like, we'll just give the ball to Chad Elsey and prove them wrong. So y'all did, and Chad Elsey definitely did. 6 touchdowns, 357 yards. It's crazy that this isn't his most eye-popping stats in a game, which is insane when you have 357 yards and 6 touchdowns. But that's just the legend of Chad Elsey that we've seen over his prep career.
So Chad Elsey and Ascension Catholic are playing a really great Ouachita Christian team in the semifinals. If they win that game, and if Vermilion Catholic, also a game that is not like a given against Kentwood, we're going to get Chad Elsey versus Jonathan Dartez in the state championship game, which is, it is what you think of when you think of great 1A football. It is just these superheroes that are playing, that want a state championship so badly, that need it. And Elsey is the engine of this team. He made me eat crow. That entire team made me eat crow. And I'm first to admit it. I was wrong. Whoops. And he's awesome. I was lucky enough to get to see him at the Jamboree. He was awesome there. He was awesome last year. And this was another one of those great performances against a really, really good Riverside team that like pants St. Martin's Episcopal earlier in the year. I was
Yeah.
at that game, the Dedrick Lashley game, as
Yep.
everyone remembers. The Dedrick Lashley game, and and it just and Lassie was good in this game too, but LZ took over. He
Yeah.
dropped 6 touchdowns on a team that's that good. That matters. That's really impressive. So congratulations. It are absolutely in order, and we're kind of all crossing our fingers. I think a little bit secretly hoping we get that LZ Dartez game because that would be uh unbelievable to get to watch.
Yeah, and both those teams' ways though. We have Kentwood and we have Washita Christian teams that have been to the Dome
Yeah.
plenty of times. So there's teams to do it. Those two are definitely capable of doing that. But Chad Ellis, I mean, he had my vote this week for sure. It just came a little bit short, but hey, Chad's won these before. He won the Gridiron Football Player of the Week. He has his Letterman jacket patch last year. So everyone going to our top three now, Alex, and we on that same line, right? We're talking about great individual playoff runs. I mean, we talked about what Jonathan Dartez is doing. We just talked about what Chad Elsie's doing. This guy's kind of that same tune, basically what he's been carrying his team to the playoffs. That is Diesel Solari over there at Cecilia High School, coming in at number 3 with 472 votes this week. Diesel, I mean, he just puts on a Diesel type of performance. I mean, he's just no gas, just all go, right? So that's what he is. Completed 10 of 21 passes for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns, throwing the ball, but he's an athlete. He's just a playmaker, right? So he orchestrates his offense. He has 2 touchdowns passing. He has 202 yards rushing and 2 more rushing touchdowns in a 57 of 40 win over North DeSoto. North DeSoto's offense can score too. They got a great quarterback as well, great offense. But this team, they've been scoring in bundles. I mean, the last couple of weeks, their offense is on fire right now. A lot of it has to do with Diesel Solari. He's been injured this year, but when he's come back, I mean, this offense has been tough to stop. I mean, anytime you can really account for, I mean, over close to 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, the Diesel Solari show keeps on going on. They'll have a big game on Friday against Plaquemine. That should be, I'll pick the over on that. That should be a lot of points for sure. Alex, Diesel Solari making the list at number 3.
One of I think the more interesting stories of this state championship, like of the playoff brackets, is the Cecilia team and Diesel Solari. They're the 18 seed. Now, I think a lot of people said that this team's probably better than their seeding, but they still had to run into Lutcher in the first round. This, they haven't been at home the entire playoff bracket. They're about to play their 4th consecutive road game on the playoffs, in the playoffs, and it just hasn't mattered. Pearl River doesn't matter. Lutcher doesn't matter. North DeSoto, a really good North DeSoto team, does not matter. They've been smashing everyone 50 points, 49 points, 57 points. And it's largely because of this guy. Now, they've got some great players. He's, missed a couple of weeks, and then his backup came in and was a finalist for Player of the Week. They had a couple other players be finalists for Player of the Week. So they've done, like, the entire team is great. That is especially an offense that is built to be unstoppable. If you're putting 49 points up on Lutcher last week, you're going to be unstoppable. And it almost feels inevitable with the Cecilia team. And we get one of my favorite matchups going into this week, the Cecilia Plaquemine game, of two teams that I don't think a lot of people had getting this far going into the semifinals. And we're going to get to see, a really fun Plaquemine team with Tyrese Mosby and Nico Victorian. And yeah, take the over. Because take the over in every Cecilia game because it's Cecilia. They're like the Bengals, but good.
A little bit of a defense, right?
a little bit better defense. They can maybe the Ravens is a better
Yeah, that's
description
probably
here.
a better analogy. Yeah,
It's probably better. But it's seriously, this is a fun to watch team. It's hard not to root for a team like that. You know what I mean? That just these road warriors are not afraid of the hostile environment, and Diesel Solari is going to be leading them. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it sure is. That's gonna be a fun semifinal matchup. Diesel Solari and then Cecilia try and get to the Superdome like they were last year. But it's crazy to think an 18 seed may be the favorite in this bracket moving on, but that's just how they've been playing football. Definitely, that was a miss seed. They're not an 18 seed, trust me, and they haven't been playing like one. So Diesel Solari was a player, I think, player of the year finalist last year as well. So it was like he's making another, he's argument for being back on the list. Now let's go to our top two outs before we do that because it came down to these two players. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's donated. Obviously, donations are going towards our Gridiron Football All American Bowl game. As you can tell, some of these guys on this list, Chad Elsey being a big name, they're playing in that bowl game. So you're going to help out a lot of these players that are playing in their Gridiron Football American Bowl game. This money is going to be raised for that. All the money that will be donated will be going towards that. But we're not like forcing you to donate. I mean, you can also vote unlimited amount of times, and that's what helps as well to go and support your favorite player. So that's in it as well. We appreciate everybody that's voted, that's donated throughout the course of the year, and just to keep a reminder, right, that if you don't win, you still can be nominated the next week. So like that's not preventing you from not being on the list again. So that's been one of those things as well. And if you win, you can't be nominated again. That's kind of the rule. If you win, you also get a Lerman jacket patch. You're a Gridiron Football Player of the Year nominee. You get an interview as well. So those are all the things that you get when Gridiron Football Player of the Week. Now let's go to number two, Alex, because it came down to really these two guys. This is really the bulk of the voting coming in. This is where both these communities really came out and supported their player. So at number two, just coming up short this week for the Gridiron Football Player of the Week, it is Jaheim Williams from South Plaquemines. And right now, they're playing the Hurricanes, playing some really good football. Jaheim Williams comes in at number two with 6,433 votes. So round of applause for the Hurricanes down there, pretty much at the bottom of the state of Louisiana by the Gulf. And they came out and really supported this young man. So Jaheim had 16 carries for 189 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing the football. Also had a 14-yard touchdown catch too. So 3 touchdown performance. They made a statement against the team I actually had in the Dome in Mangum, 42-18. Mangum had to make the drive down there to the bomb to the Gulf, and it was probably a rough trip back after that game, 42-18. But Jaheim Williams, I mean, he pretty much crushed their hopes and dreams. 3 touchdowns, over 200 yards of offense. He's been one of their big key playmakers all year long, and that's why we're seeing this Hurricane football team one win away from reaching the Superdome.
So this is, the Division I non-select bracket was very much, so we know Haynesville's up top, and who knows who's going to be coming out of the bottom bracket. And we're still a game away, but we're starting to see there's a world where South Plaque, who was the 2 seed, is just like, why wasn't everyone thinking it was us the whole time?
Right. We're at number 2.
Logansport? No. We're the favorites. Everyone has to come down here to the very tip of the boot to beat us. The road to the Dome leads through South Plaquemine.
Yep.
And no, we should be the favorites. And now they're 1 game away, and a lot of it is because of this guy, Jaheim Williams. Again, this is 1A, so when you have these kind of performances, a lot of it is individual performances. This is a great team, and if they're going to have a chance to knock off Haynesville, they're going to have to get through Logansport, but it'll be a lot because of this guy and the entire team around him. That was a really big game against, like we said, Jace's pick to make the Dome. A lot of people thought that this Bingham team was one of the favorites, despite the seeding, to make it out and to play Haynesville probably. My apologies to General Trask. But we'll see what happens this week. But one of the favorites to make it to the state championship game in the bottom side of this bracket. But it's the opponent, it's the game, it's the context, and that is a great performance. Congratulations to Jaheim Williams and everybody all the way down there in South Plaquemine.
Yeah, they're giving us some heat. It's like, hey, y'all not giving us any love. I say, hey, hey guys, it's y'all chance to prove it. Prove me wrong. Y'all did prove me wrong, so I'm rolling with the Hurricanes now. Hopefully that doesn't jinx y'all because usually that's what it comes in. I like probably root for them and then they lose. So hopefully I don't give y'all any bad mojo. But South Plaquemine is trying to reach the dome. I think the first time since 2009, I believe, late 2000s. But Coach Fit has done an awesome job with that team. I've seen South Plaquemines actually earlier this year. It was actually a scrimmage against Amy in the spring, so I got a chance to see him a little bit. But I'm looking forward to seeing it, hopefully in the dome. And I tell you what, I mean, Haynesville. Everybody was saying, "Oh, Haynesville's the runaway state champion in this bracket," but the way South Plaquemines is playing, if they put it on Logansport in a similar fashion, I said this on Rant Show as well. If they put it on Logansport like the way they put it on Mangum, this state championship game, if that's what the case is, it's going to be a lot more competitive, a lot closer than a lot of
This
people are thinking. So that's
this
going
was
to be,
this was the argument for taking the field over Haynesville in the dome.
you know,
That we had no idea which team it was going to be because it was a mess in the bottom side, right? But whichever team it was, if they could kind of ascend and elevate past the rest of the teams, and South Black's one game away from doing that, then maybe this is a real game that can be won by either team. And that is giving a lot of credit to South Blackmans because Haynesville's really good.
oh yeah, absolutely. Logan Sports, the no pushover. They've won state championships. They've been in the running for as well. So that should be a great matchup. Now, Alex Jaheim Williams has a great performance. Congratulations to him. But we got to talk about our Gridiron Football Player of the Week for Week 13. Little drum roll. Yeah, yeah, you can't really do a drum roll out there.
I mean, I guess I could walk over to a tree and knock on wood. I don't know.
There we go. But at number one, this week's Gridiron Football Player of the Week for Week 13, we're going to go up to Northeast Louisiana, where we'll have Sterlington running back Hagen Herring coming in with 8,877 votes. 8,230 of them pretty much coming from votes as well. So round of applause, obviously, to Sterlington, the Panthers. They're rolling right now. Hagen Herring, man, they went out and defeated my favorite in the state championship game
A lot of people
to win, and that was Oak Grove. And Oak Grove's won 4 of the last 5 state championships in Division 4. They made the move up to Division 3. And this was the first time they'll have been tested in terms of that playoff bracket, and they got that test in Sterlington, and Sterlington was able to get the better of them. And it's because of a performance like the one we saw this past Friday from Hagen. 11 carries, 182 yards, 3 touchdowns, and won the game 43-39. It was you expected that from Oak Grove. This is a really good football team for Oak Grove, but Hagen Herring, they relied on him. 11 carries, 180 yards, 3 touchdowns, made the most of his carries. Like Alex says, we got different performances this year from running backs, whether it's like that bell cow 40 carry, 300 yards, and maybe 3 or 4 touchdowns, or you only get the ball 10, 11 times and score 4 or 5 of them. You get that kind of variety. This kind of leans with the latter. But Alex, Hagen Herring stepping up big in a big moment. Really, the winner of this football game sets up for them pretty good to go to the state championship. These are 2 state championship caliber programs playing in the quarterfinals. You get that sometimes with the luck of the draw, and we got it. It was a great football game. Hagen Herring was able to carry or help carry the Panthers to the semifinals, where this week they'll take on Gina, and they get through that, they'll be in the Superdome.
It's funny. Oftentimes we talk about these efficiency performances, and oftentimes it's like in a blowout where like, okay, well, why didn't he get 11 carries? Why did he only get 11 carries? Oh, well, they were winning 3-0. This was a really close game. Part of what that tells me is that that's a really good Sterlington team that has a lot of mouths to feed in that offense.
Yep.
But the other thing it tells me is I can just imagine what the Oak Grove sideline was feeling, what those coaches were feeling during the game is, don't give it to Herring. Please don't give it to Herring.
Yeah.
Please no. Please no. He's averaging like 15 yards a carry. don't do this. And every time he did, it was something electric was gonna happen. He scored 3 touchdowns, almost 200 yards on only 11 carries. That's an unbelievable performance, and a lot of it's the game because Oak Grove had been in the state championship, either had won it or was in it like 4 of the last 5 years or something ridiculous like that. They were the favorite, even though they had moved up a division, they were still one of the big favorites to win the state championship this year. And despite the fact that Sterlington had their number recently, it was still a game that most people projected Oak Grove to win. And for Sterlington to win the game close like that, and for his touches to be the difference in the game, this is absolutely deserving. In the quarterfinals, where the standard is going to be set really high in terms of performances, this is so deserving of being the Gridiron Football Player of the Week. Congratulations to Hagen Herring and everybody at Sterlington. This is a very fun bracket and going to be a very fun game against Gina coming up this week in the semifinals.
Yeah, I should have figured with the last name with Hagen Herring because, I was like, Herring, Northeast Louisiana, that rings a bell. And that's because his older brother, Hunter Herring, he was a quarterback at Washita Christian. And he was a dude. Like, he was an incredible football player for Washita Christian. They won a state championship with him as a junior, and they went to the state championship game his senior year, and that's where they fell short to Calvary. So he was a great football player. That was his older brother. He was at ULM, but should have figured different school. He plays for Sterlington, his younger brother does. But a Herring in Northeast Louisiana, they got some good genes over there. They can play some football over there. And his little brother, he's a Gridiron Football Player of the Week. So congratulations to Hagen. I'm going to try to get in touch with Coach Doty and Hagen as well, so we can talk with them. Maybe early tomorrow, because I know that semifinals on the line, going a chance to go to the Superdome.
Long road trip.
Yep. It actually won't be. They're the home team, but still, they want to be focused and have.
My brain was thinking Washita Christian. Never mind. Sorry. Yeah.
Right. No, the older brother played at Washita Christian.
His brother played at Washita Christian. Sorry. No, they're at home. So, but still, it's a playoff game, semifinals. You don't want to.
Yeah, right.
Don't worry me on game day, as they say.
Right. Exactly. So, hopefully, get in touch with Coach and at least get a quick conversation with the both of them tomorrow. But appreciate everybody that's watching the stream. I really appreciate. Round of applause once again to Sterlington High School up there in Monroe. Tough football team, tough football program, and they got a great matchup against a really good Gina football team in the semifinals. Should be a good one. Hagen Herring's going to need, even though he can't win it again, he's going to have that type of similar performance to help him get to the Superdome. But congratulations to Hagen, and I'm sure Sterlington fans are wondering, all right, Alex, what's his prize? What does he get? Well, he's going to get a Letterman jacket patch. It's going to be kind of the ones like these. Now, this was last year's, but we just got the ones. I actually have a bag of it, of all the Letterman jacket patches right in front of me. So we actually will be the ones that are local close to us. We'll go over there, maybe do a short video with each of them and give them their Letterman jacket patch, and we'll mail out the rest of them that we can't really drive to. So we'll mail the rest of them out. But he'll get a Letterman jacket patch. He'll get an interview with us as well, get a chance for Hagen to talk about his season, and also for Coach Dowie to talk about the season as well. And then obviously he'll be nomination for Gridiron Football Player of the Year. So we only have a couple more of these, Alex. It's crazy. The season's flown by the way that it has this year. This is week 13. We only have, after this, more opportunities, I believe. So, you definitely got to take advantage of it. And Hagen did this week, and only 2 more to give out. So we'll find out and see who wins the rest of the season.
Yep, it was a great week. I kind of want to get out of the intermittent drizzles here. So.
Yeah, like a slight drizzle. Give us the weather report, Alex.
Slight drizzle cleared up a little bit here, but let me get out of here. Congratulations to Hagen. Congratulations to everybody. Of course, we only got, as Jay said, we only have 2 more weeks. And so we're going to have very few games to talk about these next couple of weeks. So if you hear about, if you're at one of these games and you see one of these performances, submissions are going to be very valuable. So just keep that in mind going into this week. But congratulations to Hagen, of course, and everybody, all of the finalists for Gridiron Football Player of the Week this week.
Absolutely. And Alex just said it. for coaches, fans will start taking submissions really after probably midnight, or like on Friday after all the games are over with, and then we'll accept them till Monday at noon. That's when we'll go over all the selections, and then they'll be posted on Tuesday, and then you'll get the vote until Thursday, like we normally do. So, Alex, drive back safe. I know you're pretty much. I mean, the house is right across the street from you, but
Nope, I
make
was
sure.
walking. I have car troubles.
Yeah. So make sure you walk safely across the street, and then we'll catch up with you as well. Ball in the Boot's actually up as well. All the shows are getting uploaded on
Check
YouTube.
that out.
Check that out. Check out myself and Alex. Maybe be looking like fools by the end of it, or maybe he's pretty smart. We'll figure out which hopefully is the latter. But we'll find out as all these games are being final. So Alex, check you later. Check out all of Alex's Southern coverage as well. Big game this week too, and I know
Black
we'll talk
championship.
about SWAC championship. So let's see if the Jaguars can win that. And appreciate you, Alex, and we'll catch with you next week. And for everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Gridiron Football Player of the Week show. And we'll see you all next week for see who finds out who wins our Player of the Week, Week 14. Congratulations to Hagen Herring. Guys, we'll see you all next week.